The moment you stopped reacting, they panicked. The moment you set a boundary, they escalated. The moment you started healing, he came back. If you've ever tried to break free from a narcissist, you already know something strange happens. They don't just let you go. They can't. Because to a narcissist, you were never truly a person. You were a source of attention, validation, emotional supply. And when that source begins to disappear, something dangerous happens inside them. Psychologists call it narcissistic collapse. And when a narcissist feels the collapse coming, they become desperate, manipulative, sometimes even cruel. Today on Mind Arc, we're exposing the 5 things narcissists do the moment they realize they're losing control of you. And stay until number 4. Because that one is the reason so many people end up going back. Thing number 1, narcissistic rage. When the mask breaks, every narcissist lives behind a mask. Confident, charming, controlled, but that mask only exists to hide something fragile underneath. Deep inside, many narcissists carry an extremely unstable sense of self. They depend on outside validation to feel powerful. So when you stop feeding that validation, the mask begins to crack. What comes out next is something psychologists call narcissistic rage. And rage doesn't always look like screaming. Sometimes it shows up as cold silence, passive-aggressive comments, sudden insults, public humiliation disguised as jokes. The goal is simple: to make you feel small again, to make you doubt yourself, to regain emotional control over you. But here is something important most people don't realize. When a narcissist becomes angry like this, it usually means they are losing their grip. Their control is slipping, and your independence is growing. Their rage is not a sign of strength, it's a sign of panic. Thing number 2, hoovering, the attempt to pull you back when anger doesn't work. The narcissist switches tactics. This stage is known as hoovering. The name comes from the vacuum cleaner brand, because just like a vacuum, the narcissist tries to suck you back in. Suddenly the same person who is angry becomes soft, apologetic, emotional. You might hear things like, "I've changed. I've realized my mistakes. I've been working on myself. I can't live without you." For a moment, it may feel genuine. Like the person you originally fell in love with is finally back. But hoovering usually isn't about love. It's about regaining control. The narcissist senses their emotional supply disappearing, and they will say almost anything to restore it. This is the phase where many people return. Not because they're weak, but because they still believe change is possible. Unfortunately, without real accountability and long-term change, the same cycle usually begins again. Thing number 3, the smear campaign. If hoovering fails, the narcissist may turn to something much darker. A smear campaign. Before you even realize what's happening, they've already started telling their version of the story. 2, friends, family members, co-workers. In their narrative, they are the victim, and you become the problem. You might suddenly hear that you're difficult, unstable, manipulative, ungrateful. This isn't just emotional revenge, it's image protection. Narcissists depend heavily on how others perceive them. So if the relationship ends, they need to control the story. Because whoever controls the narrative often controls public perception. If you've experienced this, it can feel deeply unfair. But the most powerful response is often quiet consistency. Over time, people tend to notice the difference between rumors and reality. Thing number 4, future faking. This is one of the most confusing tactics. Narcissists use future faking. When the narcissist feels like they are truly losing you, they begin painting a beautiful picture of the future. They might talk about marriage, moving somewhere new, building a life together, going to therapy, becoming a completely different person. The promises can sound incredibly convincing because they target something deeply human. Hope. Hope that the relationship can finally become what you always wanted. Hope that all the pain had a purpose. But future faking is often about postponing the loss of control. Once the narcissist feels secure again, those promises quietly disappear, and the old patterns return. Not because you imagined the problem, but because the future they described was never fully real. Thing number 5, the final discard. If none of the previous tactics work, sometimes the narcissist does something unexpected. They leave first. This is often called the discard. It can feel sudden and incredibly painful. One moment they were trying to pull you back. The next moment they act as if you never mattered. Why does this happen? Because leaving first restores their sense of control. Intermanda changes the story. Instead of being rejected, they become the one doing the rejecting. But this final step usually says more about their fear than your worth. The fear of losing power, the fear of vulnerability, the fear of facing emotional accountability. And when someone runs from those things, they often leave behind confusion and pain. Now you understand the patterns, the rage, the hoovering, the smear campaign, the future faking, and sometimes the final discard. These behaviors can feel deeply personal when you're experiencing them, but they often come from unresolved wounds and fragile self-image. The moment you recognize the pattern, you begin to see the situation differently, and awareness can be the first step toward protecting your peace. If this video helped you understand something you've experienced, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to Mind Dark for more insights into the hidden psychology behind human behavior. Stay aware, stay grounded, and protect your power.